Hello and welcome back to another video here on my channel. If this is the first of my videos that you are seeing, hi, my name is Sim, and here on my channel I make videos about being a South African expat that is living in Scotland in the United Kingdom. I'm in the midst of experiencing my first spring here in Scotland, and being from South Africa, we technically do have seasons, but I feel like we just completely skip spring and autumn. It will just be cold the one day and then warm the next day. So you basically just go from winter to summer. So in a way, this is my first spring ever. Before moving to Scotland, I had never actually even been here before, so I don't really know what to expect in terms of the weather. So naturally, the first place you go to figure that out is the internet. If you are watching this video today, you are probably in a similar situation where you are wondering what the weather is like in Scotland in springtime and maybe if it's a good time to visit Scotland or not. So today's video is going to give you a summary of what the weather is like in springtime, what the vibes are like, and hopefully give you an idea of the type of things that you will be able to do here in springtime and also the type of clothes that will be best for this time of the year. Let's start with the basics. When is it actually spring here in Scotland? Spring runs from mid-March until mid-June. I'm filming this video at the end of April, and I would say I have seen the biggest change in the weather in the last 2 weeks or so. The last weeks of March and the start of April was still pretty chilly, and I was basically wearing the same clothes that I was still wearing in winter. Now that we're heading into May, I feel a bit more comfortable with just wearing a long sleeve top and then a jacket whenever I'm going out. I think it's important to mention that I live in Edinburgh. The weather in Scotland can very much differ depending on which part of Scotland you are in. Here in Edinburgh, the average temperatures are around 7 to 13 degrees in springtime. Now, being from South Africa, those temperatures sound pretty chilly to me and not what I would usually associate with a nice spring day. But when the sun is out, it's actually pretty decent weather. The problem is the wind. I've been fooled too many times by a nice sunny blue sky just to go outside and to be hit by a freezing cold wind. Scotland's weather can also be quite unpredictable, and I've heard a couple of people saying that you can experience all 4 seasons in one day. From my experience, I would definitely agree with that. We've had super sunny days and then the next minute it was snowing. Because the weather is so unpredictable, it can be difficult to plan an outfit or pack clothes for a trip. In this situation, I would say that layers are your best friend. I would recommend wearing a cooler shirt or blouse and then layering up with a warmer jacket. If you have a windproof jacket, even better. This way you are protected from the wind, but when you're inside or maybe enjoying some sun in the park and it's a little bit warmer, you have the option to take off the jacket. I would also say to rather opt for pants or longer skirts because short skirts and dresses are a nightmare with the wind, and I learned that the hard way. That sums up the weather, so let's get into what the atmosphere is like in springtime. Because the Scottish people have just experienced a very long and dark winter, any sun is welcome, and you can definitely feel an excitement in the air with the sunnier and longer days. Even on days that are 10 degrees that I personally still consider pretty cold, people will be sunbathing in the park like they're on a beach somewhere. Parks are also packed and it's a really nice atmosphere with people playing music, having picnics, and even barbecues. A couple of weeks ago, we had our first day with the best weather that we've had in a long time. And when we arrived at the park, it felt like we were walking into a festival just because of the amount of people that were out there having picnics. Along with the really nice atmosphere is also all the spring flowers that are blooming. Along with the flowers are also the cherry blossom trees here in Edinburgh. I don't actually expect to see these here in Scotland. Usually when you think of cherry blossom trees, you think of Japan, but there are several cherry blossom trees all around the city, and I believe the best time to see them is in May. My favorite part of spring in Scotland is definitely the fact that sunset is quite late. During the winter months, sunset can be as early as 4 o'clock. But now that it's spring, sunset is only around 8 o'clock, and if it's a nice sunny day, you can usually still see some light at 9 p.m. Because the sun sets so much later, it definitely makes the day feel so much longer. I'm used to it always being dark by the time that I finish work, but now because the sun is still shining, it feels like I have a part of the day still ahead of me. So it makes me feel a lot more motivated and productive after work to maybe still go out for a walk or get a few things done after work instead of just jumping in my pajamas and watching some Netflix. The last thing that I want to cover in this video is a few things that I would recommend doing here in Edinburgh in springtime. I would definitely recommend that you pack yourself a picnic basket, grab a blanket, and go soak up the sun in one of the public parks. It's such a cool vibe, and there's so much going on, from bands playing and people playing different sports, and if you like people watching, you will definitely be entertained for several hours. One of the parks that I would recommend and that's quite popular is Meadows Park. It's quite central and you get a really nice view of Arthur's Seat as well, and there are cherry blossom trees along some of the path, so it looks really pretty. Because it's so central, there are a lot of cafes close to the park, and there are also even a few food trucks to choose from, so you can grab some takeaways and then you can go enjoy that in the park. Another public park I would recommend an outing to is Carlton Hill. For this one, I would make sure that you are wearing comfortable shoes because it sits on a hill and it's a few minutes walk to the top. It's still very accessible though, and it's a tarred road that takes you all the way to the top, so it's not like you're going on a hike or something. And it's definitely worth it because once you get to the top, you have a beautiful view of the whole of Edinburgh. From the top, you can see the coastal part of Edinburgh, you can see Newtown, Old Town, Arthur's Seat, and the skyline is just incredible. It's also not just the view that's cool, there are actually a couple of monuments in the park. Spring is also the perfect time to plan a trip to the Edinburgh Botanical Garden. I actually visited the Botanical Garden in autumn and also in December for the Christmas lights, and every time it was a really cool experience, so I can just imagine how beautiful it must be at the moment with all the flowers blooming. It's a really nice way to get those steps in and also get some fresh air, and there's also a greenhouse that you can explore. Edinburgh also has a couple of local outdoor markets, and I'm so excited for these to start opening again after lockdown. Most of these markets will be open on the weekend, and it's the perfect place to go if you want to get some brunch or if you want to pick up some locally produced cheese, fruits and vegetables, meats, and some markets will even have homeware, jewelry and clothing. That brings us to the end of this video. If you had any questions about spring here in Scotland, I hope I've answered those. But if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave those in the comment section and I'll try my best to answer them. I hope this video gave you a better idea of what spring is like over here and what to expect if you ever visit Scotland in springtime. If you want to see more videos of my experience here in Scotland, please remember to subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, please also remember to give it a thumbs up down below. Thank you so much for watching, and then I'll see you guys in my next video.